Hello everyone and welcome to All Geared Up. This is a tech channel and today we're going to talk about cameras. Big cameras. What means big? This big. And full disclosure here, this one is the Mamiya RB67, which is a newer version, and we are going to talk about a little bit of an older camera, the RB67, which is a medium format film camera. So let's get into it. So first, let's talk about why I don't have the camera around here to show you guys. The reason for that is I simply sold it because I got the Mamiya RB67 and the RB67, and they are pretty much identical except for some little features. And as I had the same set of lenses and got the prism finder for this one and not for the other one, I simply thought, okay, I can't use both, so I am selling one. Before I sold it though, I made a video to take it apart and show you guys how the camera is working, how a modular system was working, how to operate it. So let's get on to the bench and take it apart. So hello and welcome to this camera review. I got my Mamiya RB67 here, which is a medium format film camera, and today I want to show you how to take it apart, how to operate it, and yeah, basically show you around what this camera is doing, how you can load up some film and get started shooting some film with it. So first off, let me tell you, this thing is heavy. It weighs a ton, but it also speaks for the build quality. I mean, it's a 6x7, which already is huge, and it has a rotating back. It's full metal construction, and as I said, it just weighs a lot. So this camera is a medium format film camera, as I said before, and it is a completely modular system. So there are a couple of parts that you can exchange, like the lens, of course, but also the back and the viewfinder. And let's start with getting rid of the viewfinder. So you push this little button in, slide the top plate to the side, and then you can take off the waist level finder and look at the ground glass. And there also are different prism finders for this camera, which you can put on instead of the waist level finder. So let's have a closer look at the waist level finder. The waist level finder basically is just a frame. You can pop it up and up comes the side and the back. And what it is meant for is basically only to block the light and get you a better view on what's happening on the ground glass, for you to focus your camera, because the brighter it is, the harder it's going to be to see what's happening and to hit critical focus even better, because we are dealing with much bigger formats than 35mm. It also comes with a loop, and you can pop it out by pressing the little white button top right of the viewfinder, and up comes the loop, and it really helps you to see what's going on. And to close the viewfinder, you simply pinch the sides and put it back to the flat position that it comes with. And to put it back on, you simply put it at the same place you took it from, slide the front plate back into place, and the waist level finder or whichever finder you were using would be locked in place again. The next thing we can take apart is the rotating back, or let's say the film cassette, and there are two levers on the top and on the bottom which we can advance, and then we can take out the film magazine or the film holder, let's so to speak. The film holder has also the dark slider in it, so this is locked in place, which allows you to exchange bags without having anything exposed and put another bag with another film on it. So that's the advantage of having exchangeable bags in general. And that also is the reason why so many professionals back in the day were using modular systems with exchangeable bags, because it allowed them to go from one film stock to another. They had an increased flexibility for their workflow. Another thing to be aware of when operating this camera, or this back in particular, is it does not communicate with the camera body in any way, so you have to manually operate and advance the film. And it has a separate locking mechanism which locks the film advance lever in place. Advance the film, and if you want to take a double exposure, you simply cock the shutter and do not advance the film advance lever. So let's open up the medium format back. You simply push this down and then you can get the film holder out of the cassette. The film holder itself has two take-ups, one on the left and one off the right. On the left side you will put the new film, and on the right side you have the empty spool, which will be the take-up spool. So let's put this back together and close it down. I'm not gonna load in some film because I want to show you the camera and how it's operated. So if you have film in there, you have this little window showing you the frame counter, and it will go to 1 when you have film loaded in there. So let's have a look at the other frame that is on there, because what's special about this camera is the build is basically 7x7, and it comes with this rotating adapter on which the film back goes onto, and it allows you to rotate the film back instead of the camera to go from vertical to horizontal orientation. Usually you will have the frame mounted to the camera, because what happens is as soon as the back is connected to the rotating adapter, you can take out the dark slide. And the advantage of having an exchangeable back is the dark slider is locked into place for you not to accidentally expose any film when exchanging backs. Coming next is the most important part of the system, and that is the lens. Taking off the lens is easy. You simply rotate this ring so that the red markings are lining up, and then you can take off the lens. As a side note, the lens only comes up when the shutter has been activated, and you also can just put it on when the shutter is cocked. As I said before, all the exposure settings are to be taken on the lens itself. So we have a ring for shutter speed, which goes from 400 to 1 second, and T is for bulb modus basically. And the aperture opens up to 3.8 and closes down all the way to 32. Then on the side we have this knob. By pulling it out and rotating it, we can set the lens to mirror lockup mode, and then we can use the cable release in order to fire the trigger separately from the mirror. And then of course the lens has also a PC sync port and this special lever which closes the aperture. And this feature usually is used in order to judge your depth of field based on the aperture you have set on the lens. Then on the front we have this rotating ring, which is our distance meter. Setting a distance, the lens then tells us how big our depth of field will be according to the aperture we have chosen. So let's say we have chosen a 5.8 aperture, and setting a distance, it gives us feedback on how much in front of the focus and how much towards the back of the focus area will be in focus. It is not a necessary feature, especially for portraits, but I think when shooting still lives or products and stuff like this comes in really handy. And to round things up, I want to show you how the shutter is operated. So there is a little pin you can press down, and then the iris closes and eventually the shutter will fire. This is important to know how to operate this, because it's much better to store the lenses not having the shutter cocked. Then again, you can only put the lens back onto the system when the shutter is cocked. Cocking the shutter is easy. You simply rotate these two big pins back into position, and then you can place the lens back on the body, lock it in place by turning the ring, and then you're basically set to go. As we are now ready to shoot, let's take a look at how the camera is focused and how we finally can fire a shot. So this camera has a bellows focusing system. On both sides we have these turning wheels, which by rotating will extend the body and put more distance between the lens and the film plane. And on the side we also have this little chart telling us how to compensate for gaining the distance, because it also will increase the traveling distance of the light, and therefore we will lose some exposure. And then on the bottom right also is our shutter, which then when the dark slider is out will let us fire a shot. So if the dark slider is out or slightly out, the system is ready to take a shoot, and we can operate it left-handed or right-handed. So yeah, and that's all you have to do is cock the shutter on the right side, take the dark slider out, advance your film back, then you can open up the waist level finder, pop out the loop and get ready to focus and fire your image.
And that's it for now using the Mamiya RB67. I will now show you some images which I have taken with this system. Before that, I would like to remind you, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate if you consider to do so. And if you are a film shooter and like shooting film, I would also like you to tell me what system you are using, which film you like to use, how you process it, and so on and so on. So that's it for now. I am out. Enjoy the images. See you in the next video.